सिलेबस कवर करते हैं। रीडिंग द आर्काइव सेक का कवर है, इसकी यूनिट 1 हम देखते हैं। तो यूनिट 1 का सिलेबस क्या था? इंट्रोडक्शन टू द प्राइमरी सोर्सेज, पावर एंड मेमोरी इन द आर्काइव, ये हमारी यूनिट 1 है। तो आइए इसको देखते हैं। Introduction to the primary sources. A primary source is in an original document, artifact or recorded created at the time under study, offering a direct, unfiltered glimpse into a particular event, time period, or individual experiences. Unlike secondary sources, which analyze or interpret the past, primary sources serve as a raw material of history, providing first-hand evidence. They can include letter, diaries, photograph, government document, speeches, artifacts, or even oral histories. The value of a primary sources lie in its immediacy to the subject, its document. It enables researcher to understand perspective of people who lived during a specific time, analyze event as they were experienced or recorded without the interpretation of later histories. तो जो फर्स्ट जो होता है प्राइमरी रिसोर्सेज होते हैं, जिसमें कि हम ने किसी भी तरह की कोई छेड़छाड़ नहीं की होती, जो बिल्कुल रॉ मटेरियल होते हैं, जो हिस्ट्री से हमारे पास आते हैं। जैसे कि इसमें लिखा गया है लेटर, डायरीज़, फोटोग्राफ और जो गवर्नमेंट डॉक्यूमेंट्स हैं, स्पीचेस हैं, हमने इसमें कोई भी छेड़छाड़ नहीं की है। ये हिस्ट्री से जैसी आई है वैसी ही है। तो ये होती है हमारी प्राइमरी सोर्सेज। और जो सेकेंडरी सोर्सेज होती हैं उनमें थोड़ा सा बदलाव कर दिया जाता है, जो रॉ मटेरियल से थोड़ी बदल कर आगे की ओर करी जाती है, मतलब उसमें थोड़ा छेड़छाड़ की जाती है, वो सेकेंडरी रिसोर्सेज होती है। तो इसके बाद और भी है, एक्सप्लोर कल्चरल, पॉलिटिकल और सोशल डायनामिक्स इन देयर ओरिजिनल कॉन्टेक्स्ट. However, working with primary sources require a critical approach. These sources, while invaluable, are not free from bias. They reflect the creator perspective, priorities, and limitations. Researchers must consider the creator intent, the audience, and the broader context which the source was produced. In essence, primary sources are the foundation for reconstructing and interpreting history, providing both insights and challenges in understanding the complexities of the past. उसके बाद है power in the archive. So archive are not neutral spaces. They are shaped by power dynamics that influence what is collected, preserved, and made accessible. The decision about what to include in an archive and what to leave out reflect the priorities, biases, and ideologies of those in control of archival institutions. These decisions have significant implications of how history is recorded and remembered. Dimension of power in the archive. Decision of what to preserve. तो इसमें जो डायमेंशंस हैं उसमें फर्स्ट है डिसीजन ऑन व्हाट टू प्रिजर्व, कि किस चीज़ को रखा जाए, उसका डिसीजन. आर्किविस्ट एंड इंस्टीट्यूशंस डिटरमाइन व्हाट इज़ डीम्ड वर्थी ऑफ प्रिजर्वेशन, often prioritizing record of government elites or dominant social groups. This can marginalize or exclude voice from underrepresented communities such as women, indigenous people, or the working class. The absence of certain record creates archival silence, erasing key aspects of history and perpetuating systematic inequalities. तो ये फर्स्ट डायमेंशन एंड सेकंड डायमेंशन. कंट्रोल ओवर एक्सेस. Archives may impose restriction on who can access certain materials, limiting opportunity for broader public engagement or excluding certain groups from the historical conversation. Digitalization's efforts can democratize access but also raise new questions about whose material are digitalized and whether technological bias replicate old hierarchies. Third, the role of colonialism and imperialism. Colonial power often used archives to control narratives about colonized region, archives were tools of governments, surveillance, and domination, shaping history that served colonial agendas. Today, many archival in former colonial power hold record of colonized people and territories, raising issue of ownership, restitutions, and ethical access. 4. Power of interpretation. How archival material are catalogued, described, and presented influence how they are interpreted. For example, choices in metadata. Metadata can reflect or reinforce biases. The organization of archival, what is highlighted versus hidden, shape the narrative researches and the public encounter. Challenging power structures in archive. Efforts to democratize and decolonize archives aim to address these imbalances. Community archive empower marginalized groups to curate their own histories, preserve voice and stories often excluded from institution archive. Decolonizing practice address colonial legacies by repatriating artifacts and record to their communities of original. Inclusive curation involve diverse perspective in decision making about archival collection, description and access. तो जो पावर के बाद आता है वो होता है मेमोरी इन द आर्काइव. Archive are not just repositories of facts, they are also sites where collective memory is shaped and constructed. The material preserved in archive contribute to how societies remember and interpret their past. How memory in the archive is selective, often reflecting the priorities and biases of those who control the archival processing. The role of archive in shaping memory. First है constructing collective memory. Archives play a central role in constructing the collective memory of a society. They are repositories of record that define how events, individuals, and movement are remembered. What is preserved in the archival become part of the larger historical narrative, influencing national identities, cultural heritage, and public consequences. For example, the way a nation remembers its war, revolutions, or social movement is deeply influenced by what documents and testimonies are kept in archive. And second है selective memory and the politics of remembering. The process of selecting, deciding what to preserve and what to discard means that archives are inherently tied to memory politics. Not everything from the past can or will be archived, and this selective process reflects broader societal decision about what is deemed valuable to remember. Exclusion group who hold less power, such as minorities, women, or colonized people, often find their voice marginalized or omitted from mainstream archive. The historical experience of these groups may be unrepresented, resulting in a distorted or incomplete memory of the past. Emphasis. What is preserved often reflect the perspective of dominant groups such as political elites, military leaders, or national government, while experiencing of other groups may be minimized or ignored. And the third one is reconstructing history and identity. Archive help to reconstruct collective identities, nation, communities, and individuals. Turn to archive to piece together their past, creating a sense of continuity and belonging. In this way, archives are essential for the construction of personal and national narratives. For example, a nation might turn to its archive to find documents that support its founding myths, such as its struggle for independence or its evolution as a democracy. The fourth one is archival silence and gaps. Memory in the archival is not only defined by what is presented but also by what is missing. These gaps, known as archival silences, highlighted what has been forgot, suppressed, or ignored. These silences often reveal the power dynamics that shaped historical memory. Marginalized voice may be excluded, leading to an incomplete historical record. For example, the stories of indigenous people or inland African might not be well documented in traditional archive, contributing to historical erasure. एंड उसके बाद जो फिफ्थ वन है, द रोल ऑफ मेमोरी इन हीलिंग एंड justice. Archive also play an important role in addressing historical injustice by bringing forgotten or suppressed stories to light. Archival can help communities heal, restore dignity, and seek justice. Truth commissions and historical repetitions often rely on archival material to understand past abuses, such as those related to slavery, genocide, or forced migration. These efforts aim to preserve memory in a way that is just and restorative. Restorative. Challenges and opportunity for memory in the archive. Contested memory. Different group may have conflict memory of the same event. What one group remembers as a heroic struggle may be viewed by another as an oppressed or invasion. Archival must navigate these competing memories, often becoming sites of contestations. Decolonizing memory. As with power in the archives, memory in the archives is also influenced by colonial histories. Efforts to decolonize the archive involve recovering and restoring the memories of colonized people, rethinking what should be preserved, and allow marginalized communities to narrate their own history. So इसके बाद हम कंक्लूज़न देखते हैं. हमने पावर इन द आर्काइव एंड मेमोरी इन द आर्काइव दोनों पढ़ लिया है एंड आई होप कि आपको समझ आया होगा, ठीक लगा होगा. आप एक बार खुद रीडिंग करेंगे तो आपको सारी चीज़ें अच्छे से अंडरस्टैंड हो जाएंगी. तो अब हम इसका कंक्लूज़न देखते हैं. इन कंक्लूज़न, द रिलेशनशिप बिटवीन प्राइमरी सोर्स पावर एंड मेमोरी इज इन द आर्काइव इज डीपली इंटरकनेक्टेड. Archives serve as vital repository of history, yet they are shaped by the power dynamic of those who create, preserve, and control access to them. The decision about what to collect, what to exclude, and how to organize material influence the historical narrative that emerge. These choices reflect societal values and hierarchies, often marginalizing certain voices and perspectives while privileging others. Moreover, memory in the archival is not static or objective. It is a constructed and selective process. What is remembered and preserved in the archival helps shape collective memory, contributing to national identities and historical consequences. At the same time, what is omitted or forget reveal the biases and silences with the historical record. Critical engagement with archives is essential for uncovering these power structure and remembering the past in a more inclusive and nuanced way. By recognizing the power dynamics that shape what we remember and how we remember it, we can challenge dominant narrative, recover silence voices, and work towards a more equitable representation of history. The archives, in their complexity, are not only sites of preservation but also of contestation, where histories are negotiated, reclaimed, and reshaped for future generations. So thank you for watching, guys, and I hope you like the video. If you like, please share, subscribe the channel. Thank you.